Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us today. So, this today's class is focused on how to conquer death. You know, मृत्यु से मौत से हर कोई डरता है because there are four kind of miseries. तो उसमें death is very much grieved. सब लोग बहुत ज़्यादा भयभीत रहते हैं उससे. So आज के उसमें आज के chapter Canto 5 chapter 28. And what's the title of the chapter? Purañjana becomes a woman in the next life. तो ऐसे में how after becoming a woman the truth is revealed to him to conquer death. So again, this is a very important lesson that we should take, as well as do the Shravanam of this Katha by Devashi Narad, who is a Shaktavish avatar. And what's the Shakti he has been endowed with by the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Devotional service. That's why he is Acharya, he is the Guru of many exalted personalities like Lord Prahlad or Lord Dhruva. Hare Krishna, please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us. आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है. Let us welcome some of you. Hare Krishna. Karuna Sindhu Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Rajkumar, Hare Krishna. Bharat Chavan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Subir Singh Sujan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. To all the wonderful devotees who have joined us on this occasion. And please, today is a very important lesson that we should all take to and realize it, so that we can act in the proper mood. And जो भी हैं जिनके नाम नहीं ले पाए हैं, आपके शायद कमेंट स्क्रॉल कर गए हैं. So आप सबका स्वागत है. Please join us for मंगलाचरण prayers. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. श्रवतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः, हृदयन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोते सुहृत्सदां. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया, भगवतेरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us in the recitation of the first verse. It's a very simple verse with great meaning, great purport behind it. SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Verse 1. Narad Uvacha Sainika Bhaya Namno Ye Barhishmandishta Karinaha Prajvar Kala Kanyabhyam Vicheruravanim Imam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Narad continued, My dear King Prachin Barhishat, afterward the king of the Yavanas, whose name is fear itself, as well as Prajvar, Kalakanya, and his soldiers began to travel all over the world. Purport. So now, Srila Prabhupada discusses that the period of life just prior to death is certainly very dangerous, because usually at this time people are attacked by the weakness of old age, jara, as well as many kinds of diseases, vyadhi. Right? The diseases that attack the body are compared here to the soldiers. So there are two kinds of soldiers. The Yavana soldiers under, Bhay, the Yavana king, his name is again Bhay itself, and he has an elder brother called Brajwar. And there are also Gandharva soldiers. They cause illusion, and they are the soldiers of Chandaveg, Gandharva king. And he has his daughter named Jara. Jara means old age. So again, these soldiers are not ordinary soldiers, for they are guided by the king of the Yavanas, who acts as their commander-in-chief, because he has taken charge of Kal Kanya, who's none other than Jara, and nobody wants to marry Jara. So he said, okay, you are my sister, and we'll find suitable, groom for you. So the word Dishtakarinaha indicates that he is their commander. When a man is young, he does not care for old age, but enjoys sex to the best of his satisfaction, not knowing that at the end of life, his sexual indulgence will bring on various diseases, vyadhis, right, which so much disturb the body that one will pray for immediate death. The more one enjoys sex during youth, the more he suffers in old age. So, Srila Prabhupada is revealing some amazing facts in this particular purport. So again, please join us for Guru Prati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So how to conquer death? Do you have the solution? So again, people say that yes, we understand that we are this body. No, we are not this body. We are the soul. So again, we are not this body, we are the soul. Jivera Surupoya Krishna Nityadas. So we are riding in this body. And Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also reveals this fact many times. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriday Deshya Janatishthati Brahmyan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. So in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 61, Lord Krishna is revealing that, Ishvara, the super soul, he is residing in everyone's heart. So we are Atma and his Paramatma. So the super soul is Paramatma and we as Atma, the soul, are sitting next to each other in the heart of this body. And this body has been given to us Maya Rudhrani. So a machine, it is a machine given to us by material energy. So ये जो machine मिली है material energy से, Maya से, it is made up of 8 kind of elements. So again, there are 2 kind of bodies, right? So what are the 8 elements? The 5 are gross elements. Earth, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Why do we say it that way? Because somebody says solid, earth, right? A kid wants to go for a lake, he raises his pinky finger because it represents water. When somebody gets angry, they say fiery stuff, right? That finger rises up. And then air, when we put tilak, we especially use this finger. And the largest is ether, the sky, which gives the shape and form. So the largest finger is representation of ether. So these are the 5 gross elements. And then there are 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. So again, we living entity, the presence in this particular material and subtle body. So subtle body carries us from one material body to another. But the loss of gross body is what we could think is death, right? It is actually the loss of subtle body which should be the cause of jubilation that we should be considering, but we are not looking for that. But in this chapter, those facts are revealed to us by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas. So Devashi Narad is having a conversation with King Prachin Barishad. Why is he having this conversation with King Prachin Barishad? What is the story about this Kalekanya and this Prajwar and the, Bhay, the Senapati, the commander-in-chief of all these soldiers who have attacked the city of Purañjana? So it's very interesting that प्राचीन भरीषद जो राजा था वो बहुत तरह के यज्ञ में लगा हुआ था. उसमें जो जानवरों की आहुति दी जा रही थी, right? Many animals were being sacrificed. So understanding that actually in the name of religion, he's collecting a lot of reactions, because King Prachin Barishad, being the emperor of the world, he was thinking that he would wants to enjoy better facility, right? Again, can you imagine, the higher the person goes in material life, the more he wants, right? It's like when the fire is there, आप उसके अंदर घी डालेंगे तो फायर खत्म हो जाएगी? नहीं, वो और ज़्यादा प्रज्वलित हो जाती है, वो और ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग हो जाती है. बिल्कुल इसी तरह जिस पर्सन के पास जितनी मटेरियल फैसिलिटी आती हैं उसके अंदर उतनी ही ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग डिज़ायर होती है टू गेट मोर एंड मोर एंड मोर. एंड दिस इज द net thrown by Maya, because she always moves the mirage ahead. जैसे जंगल में हम लोग रेगिस्तान में देखते हैं ना, there is a mirage. So वो जो मिराज होता है उसमें लगता है जैसे पानी है. Now it's not that the पानी is fault, but the mirage is fault. That's Maya. Maya means that which is not. So a person is running after mirage, because what happens is, as soon as they achieve one goal, thinking this will give me happiness, suddenly the goal has shifted, right? So they're thinking, oh, I have to get that goal, then I will be happy. then they are running after that mirage. When they get that position or that wealth or whatever possession, then उसके बाद में सोचते हैं अरे अभी मैं इतना खुश नहीं हूँ क्योंकि मुझे आगे दिख रहा है, नेक्स्ट मिराज दिख रहा है, मुझे वो मिलेगा तो मैं ज़्यादा खुश होऊंगा. सो ऐसे किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत अपने यज्ञ में लगे हुए थे. पता नहीं था उनको कि एक्चुअली वेदास को तो फॉलो कर रहे हैं लेकिन इम्प्रॉपरली फॉलो कर रहे हैं. तो उसके कारण जो देवर्षि नारद थे उन्होंने सोचा अरे ये ध्रुव महाराज की फैमिली के मेंबर हैं, मीन्स उनके डिसेंडेंट हैं, उनके जो पूर्वज थे ध्रुव महाराज थे, तो उनके ऊपर उनका कृपा आ जाती है. तो वो सोचते हैं कि मैं आई विल गिव हिम द राइट डायरेक्शन. सो वो जाते हैं और बोलते हैं किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत व्हाई यू एंगेज इन ऑल दीज एक्टिविटीज. किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत समझ जाते हैं कि अरे भाई देवर्षि नारद आए हैं, राइट, ही इज अ शक्तावेश अवतार ऑफ द सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉड हेड. तो बोलते हैं अगेन दिस इज द ह्यूमिलिटी that even in those times कितनी भी पावर हो जाती थी, but the kings they were very humble in front of the sages. बोलते हैं I do not know what's the purpose of life, I'm engaging all these activities, please instruct me. So ये हमें किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत the emperor of the world से एग्जाम्पल मिलता है कि हमें कैसे एक साधु संत को वेलकम करना चाहिए, कैसे उनसे इंक्वायरी करना चाहिए, because they have seen the truth so they can reveal it to us. तो इस तरह से जब किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत बहुत ही हम्बल मूड में ये प्रश्न रखते हैं देवर्षि नारद, he becomes ready, but again he shows him with two different ways, because of course outwardly a person may show very politeness, लेकिन उसके हृदय में क्या है, right, that is also very careful, one has to be very careful. So here first king प्राचीन भविष्यत को देवर्षि नारद यज्ञ स्थली के ऊपर he makes him to ability, दिव्य शक्ति देते हैं ताकि वो देख सके कि जो एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस हो रहे हैं उसमें कोई भी त्रुटि होती है ना, तो एनिमल को ह्यूमन फॉर्म ऑफ लाइफ नहीं मिलती है, रादर इट्स लाइक इट्स स्टक एंड हैज टू गेट रीबर्थ. लेकिन उसके रीबर्थ से पहले, उसी जानवर की योनि में जन्म लेने से पहले, वो जो जीवा होता है, दैट लिविंग एंटिटी इज वेटिंग इन दैट सटल एनिमल बॉडी फॉर दिस पर्सन हु किल्ड हिम टू डाई, राइट. और ये जब देखते हैं कि बताते हैं कि प्राचीन भविष्यत को, ये देख रहे हो सारे जो जानवर हैं ऊपर, ये सारे के सारे तुम्हारे मृत्यु का वेट कर रहे हैं, दे आर जस्ट वेटिंग फॉर यू टू डाई, बिकॉज जैसे ही तुम्हारी डेथ होगी दे विल पियर्स यू विद द थॉर्न्स, राइट. सो अगेन जो हेलिश कंडीशन का डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है 5th कैंटो में, वो तो हम लोग करेंगे ही, लेकिन उससे पहले इसका ग्लिम्स मिल रहा है इस चैप्टर में, तो इस पूरी कथा में. तो क्या हुआ, किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत he realized, oh this is big, so first he is shocked, in a state of shock. Oh I was thinking कि अरे मैं प्लेजर करूँगा, लेकिन यहाँ तो पेन की तैयारी है. This is the wrong result, because when you improperly execute, that's why different ages में जो different यज्ञस का बताया है उसमें भी भगवान कृष्ण ने नाम यज्ञ जपो अस्मि, भगवद गीता में क्लियरली रिफर किया है कि ऑफ ऑल द सैक्रिफाइसेस द चैंटिंग ऑफ द होली नेम इज सुपरमोस्ट. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. तो जब हम लोग चैंट करते हैं कंपेयर टू द मेडिटेशन, सो कॉल्ड मेडिटेशन, बिकॉज भगवद गीता में भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं क्लेशो अधिक तरस्ते शाम अव्यक्ता सक्त चेतसाम, राइट, अव्यक्त ही गतिर दुखम देहवद्भिर्व्याप्यते. सो जो एम्बॉडीड सोल होते हैं दे कैन नॉट सी द सुपर सोल इन द हार्ट. और इसी से ये स्टोरी शुरू होती है. देवर्षि नारद जो डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं कि देयर वाज अ किंग नेम पुरंजना, और ये पुरंजना और कोई नहीं, इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द सोल. वी लिविंग एंटिटीज वी थिंक आवरसेल्व्स एज द किंग, राइट. हमारे अपने अंदर ही एक पूरा राजपाट जमा रखा है. सो दिस किंग पुरंजना वाज वेरी नाइसली लिविंग विद हिज friend called Avigyat. Now, Avigyat means nobody knows the person's activity. That's representing the super soul in our heart. तो ये allegory की तरह से है. So let's understand the story and then we will reveal means Devarshi Narad reveals the allegory in the next chapter. And Srila Prabhupada reveals the allegory in the next next chapter, and in this chapter in the purport Srila Prabhupada reveals it. So ये जो किंग पुरंजना है उसकी स्टोरी बता रहे हैं कि वो डिफरेंट टाउन्स और सिटीज से जा रहा था, बट ही वॉज नॉट वेरी सेटिस्फाइड, ही वॉज एक्चुअली गेटिंग मोर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड, ही वॉन्ट्स टू सीक प्लेजर, राइट. आनंद भय अभ्यासा हमारा नेचर है दैट वी वॉन्ट टू सीक प्लेजर. सो वाई डू वी वॉन्ट टू सीक प्लेजर? बिकॉज वी आर क्वालिटेटिवली वन विद द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, ही इज ऑलवेज हैविंग प्लेजर, सो वी हैव द सेम इंक्लिनेशन. But we have limited control because he is unlimited, but we are infinitesimal. He is infinite, right? So he is magnanimous, we are minute. So again, from that perspective देखा जाए तो ये जो किंग पुरंजना था, different towns, villages से जा रहा था, उसको कहीं पे भी अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था, because he was getting more frustrated. He wants to seek pleasure. He does not find anything कि जहाँ पे pleasure मिल सके, happiness मिल सके. Finally he comes to a city जहाँ पे 9 गेट हैं, 9 द्वार हैं, और उसमें बाहर 5 तरह के gardens हैं. वहाँ पे he sees a beautiful woman, being followed by a 5-hooded snake. ये जो 5 स्नेक है प्राणवायु है हमारी, और उसके बाद में शी इज फॉलोड बाय 10 सर्वेंट्स. सो दीज आर द ज्ञानेन्द्रियस एंड कर्मेंद्रियस. ज्ञानेन्द्रियस आर जिससे हमें नॉलेज एक्वायरिंग सेंसेस. द 5 नॉलेज एक्वायरिंग सेंसेस आर फर्स्ट वी हैव आईज, द 2 eyes, then we have we can see from our eyes, we can smell with our nose, we can taste with our tongue, we can hear from our ears, and we can feel the sense of touch through our skin. So these are the ways we acquire knowledge when we are interacting in this world. जब हम इस जगत में different चीज़ों से interact करते हैं तो हमें ये ज्ञानेंद्रियाँ are like our radar antennas. They act so that we can see and interpret things around us. And then उसके बाद में what are the other 5 soldiers? So these are the karmendriyas, the working senses, which are the 2 hands, 2 legs. Again, the tongue is to speak, the speech, and as well as anus and rectum. Again, the genitals and rectum. So ये जो 5 हैं working senses हैं, we do various kind of activities through these 5 senses. And then King Purañjana, he's attracted by this woman, right? Because she's very beautiful and she seems to be looking for a husband. So King Purañjana has the desire to enjoy, right? So he asks her, who are you? So she gives her introduction that she is actually the queen of this 5, this city of 9 gates. And then Purañjana says, actually I'm also a very big king, I'm a very important personality. And the woman is also attracted towards Purañjana. So basically this is the human form of body that has been represented by the 9 gates. So in our body there are 9 holes, right? 2 for the eyes, 2 for the ears, 1 for the mouth, and 1 for anus and 1 for genital. So again, from that perspective, we hear that they, Purañjana and Purañjani. So the woman is called Purañjani because they agreed to get married and they enjoy their life in this city of 9 gates for 100 years. इस बीच में एक जरा करके है काल कन्या. Kal is time, right? So there is a Gandharva king called Chandaveg actually, and so his Chandaveg. So time and tide wait for no one. So time has been given the name Chandaveg. Chanda is very swiftly going away. Veg means something that swiftly passes away, and time and tide wait for no one. तो इस तरह से उसकी जो कन्या का नाम है वो है जो गंधर्व किंग. अब गंधर्व वर्ड का जो यूज़ किया है देवेशी नारायण ने, वो कहा है कि illusion. So this illusion that is created around us, that we think I am this body, this is the biggest illusion, Maya, that which is not. So जो काल कन्या है उसका नाम है जरा, old age. Nobody likes old age, right? So Jara wants to marry someone, but nobody wants to marry her because nobody likes to become old. Everyone wants to live, right? We have seen so many personalities, even in today's world, we see, in Western times, let's take the example of Michael Jackson, right? He wanted to live for 100 years. He was, taking so much oxygen, creating an environment. Why? Why did he want to live for so many years? Because he wanted to enjoy. But wait a minute. When you try to enjoy in this material world, you take to so much sense gratification that reduces your life. So he's using the wrong formula because, what he wants to do versus how much long he lives to, to enjoy those activities, they are against each other. And so, even though he tried so many arrangements, so many scientists tried to help him, they cannot help him because his path is wrong, right? आप दलदल में जाओगे और उसके बाद में सोचोगे कि आप पहाड़ चढ़ रहे हो, तो ये तो गलत है ना. आप जाते रहे हो दलदल में, you are stepping in there. So many times when we look at others, we say, oh yeah, this is very interesting, we see that he is doing this, but then we have to look at ourselves. This is where the spiritual knowledge comes into factor, because it is not to point at others, it is to point at ourselves. कि हम अपना जीवन किस तरह से व्यतीत कर रहे हैं. What are we doing in our lives? What are our activities? अगर हम दूसरे को पॉइंट कर रहे हैं लेकिन हम जिसको फॉलो कर रहे हैं वो भी दलदल में ही जा रहा है, तो we are going to get that same destination. Or this is where we have to be very, very careful that who are our role models, right? Are our role models like the Bollywood heroes or Hollywood heroes or heroines? Because they are going into the wrong direction. They are showing carry sense gratification so you get happiness. No, it is not the happiness. It's actually part of misery. It's a path of distress. It's a path of lot of pain, because it pertains to the body, and anything pertaining to the body is Maya, right? When we have, sometimes people say, then what's the purpose of life? Eat, sleep and be merry. Isn't that the purpose? No, actually there is a great responsibility we get as a human form of life. किस तरह से हमें जो मनुष्य शरीर मिला है उसमें हमें हायर इंटेलिजेंस मिलती है, और हमारी जो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ है उसको जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है, राइट? आप जब कोई कार खरीदते हो तो आप ये सोच के खरीदते हो ना कि ये चल रही है. You just don't buy something that looks just great outside but doesn't run, because then the purpose is not solved. So you look at something, based on its utility. The utility of a car is to go from point A to point B, right? So that is the utility, and based on the utility of that, whatever machine you are taking, you use it. So you need to know what's the purpose, right? So इसीलिए शास्त्र में दिया हुआ है that we have to know अथतो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा. What is the purpose of my life? That is where this inquiry कि हमारे शरीर जो हमें मिला है, मनुष्य का जो जीवन मिला है, उसका तात्पर्य क्या है? What is the purpose? What is the goal? The human form of life comes with great responsibility because it has great facilities, and the responsibility is that we have to cross over this ocean of nations. हमें ये भव सागर पार करना है. उसके लिए ये जो human form of life है, ये perfect boat है. और इसी का similar रिप्रेजेंटेशन दिया है शास्त्र में कि कैसे भगवान के जो चरण हैं हमें उनकी आराधना करनी है, बिकॉज दे आर परफेक्ट बोट टू हेल्प अस क्रॉस ओवर दिस ओशन ऑफ नेशंस. सो दिस इज वेयर वी आर इंक्वायरी स्टार्ट्स इन स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ. तो लेकिन ये जो पुरंजन है, ये तो ही इज थिंकिंग हिमसेल्फ टू द किंग ऑफ दिस 9 gates. तो ये शरीर को हम लोग बहुत सी बार अपनी राज्य समझ लेते हैं, एंड एवरीथिंग दैट्स रिलेट्स टू द बॉडी, जो भी हमारे आसपास जो भी है उसको भी हम इसी तरह से हैंडल करने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो किंग पुरंजना इस तरह से पुरंजनी रिप्रेजेंट्स इंटेलिजेंस, राइट? एवरीवन थिंक्स दैट दे आर वेरी इंटेलिजेंट, right? They may be full number one, Srila Prabhupada says, but they will think that yes, they are very intelligent and they know everything, they don't need any guidance from other. But in spiritual life, the guidance starts when we take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master who appears in one of the paramparas. Ye to, Gurum eva bhi gachet. So again, we have to take shelter of our spiritual master. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is revealing this. Evam parampara praptam idam rajasya viduh sakalene mehta yogo nashta parantapa. So he is telling, my dear Arjun, the killer or chastiser of your enemies, when Parantapa is referring as a title to Arjun, he is saying that ये जो knowledge थी जो उन्होंने सूर्य भगवान को दी थी, तो वो उनके succession में आ रही थी, but it was broken in due course of time. And what is this parampara? Tad vidhi paripratena pariprashnena sevaya updeshyanti tajjnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So हमें, what is the process that has been identified in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 34? भगवान कृष्ण खुद बता रहे हैं कि अर्जुन को कि हमें the process is that we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and then sevaya, we have to serve our spiritual master. And किस तरह से सर्व करते हैं? There are 2 ways we can serve our spiritual master. एक तो होती है वापु सेवा, जो कि बॉडी को हम लोग उनको फैसिलिटी दे सकते हैं. दूसरी वाणी सेवा, हम उनके इंस्ट्रक्शंस को फॉलो कर सकते हैं. वाणी सेवा, द फॉलोइंग ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शंस ऑफ आवर आचार्य, ऑफ आवर गुरु, is higher service than giving facility to the body, to serving the body. So that doesn't mean that you don't serve the body. When you have opportunity to serve the spiritual master, you should very much serve your spiritual master. But don't forget that serving his instruction will make him more happy, because the spiritual transcendental happiness that you can give your spiritual master is by helping in his mission, right? His or her mission in this case. So here it is very nicely described that what Purañjana was doing was based on his body. I and mine. I causes envy. I am so and so. Everyone thinks I'm an Indian. That's a great prideful thing. Or I'm an American. I'm proud as an American. So they even create songs based on this, not realizing pride cometh before fall. So because of pride, higher birth, or based on the position of a living entity, one may fall down because they forget that the great qualities actually are humility and tolerance, right? So here, Purañjana is enjoying, while this Jara, old age, nobody wants to marry her. So she approaches Devashi Narad. Devashi Narad also refuses. He says, I'm a Nashtika Brahmachari, I cannot marry. And he actually has spiritual body. So he knows what the purpose of life is. He already has spiritual body. So, she actually curses Devashi Narad. So sometimes people have this tendency of, rebuking and getting angry when they don't get what they want. So we should understand from that perspective that even Devashi Narad gets cursed by this Kalkanya Jara, old age. And he accepts it as it is, because it's actually a boon in disguise. She says that you will not be able to stay at one place for a long time. So you'll always be wandering. Parivarajak Charya. Right? So you will be an Acharya who is constantly traveling different places. So in Vaishnava Sampradaya, in the disciplic succession coming from Lord Brahma, then Devashi Narad, then Vyasadeva, and so forth, the sannyasis you normally see, or the acharyas, we see that they are parivarajacharya. They don't stay at one place, they wander different places. Now in this pandemic time, so it's very difficult to wander different places. So how do you wander? You wander through virtual world, right? Which is social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, and so forth. So this is where they go to preach the message of Godhead, the message of the acharyas, previous acharyas, that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, and understand what is the purpose of the spirit soul. Jivera Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas. We are eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. And the purpose of this human life is to attain love of Godhead. Getting devotional service is a great privilege. And the process is also very simple. All we have to do is raise our hand and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is a prayer to the Lordship, to Mother Radha, to Lord Krishna, to Lord Ram, Radha Ramanji, or Balaram, or Lord Ramchandra, whoever is your favorite. Because they're all Vishnu Tattvas, they are not different from one another. Yet Lord Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, So here, from that perspective, we are praying that please engage me in your service. Please give me this opportunity to serve you, because it's a great privilege to be able to engage in devotional service. And the process is so simple, but still people know it, but they may not take it. Because why don't they take it? Samskar, the conditioning from many thousands and millions of births. We have been engaged in seeking, just like Purañjana, he was going through so many towns and villages, right? Just like we have gone through so many lives in this material world, that those samskar, those impressions have gone deeper, they are deep rooted. And that's why in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, in the very first verse, Lord Krishna kya kehte hain? Ki we have to cut off this tree in the 15th chapter. He's revealing that this material world is like this jo bargat ka ped hai, nadi tat pe. And it's reversed because it's the reflection, because the reflection shows that that's not the tree. The true tree is in the spiritual world. So this upside down जो tree है, इसको कट करना चाहिए. तो ये allegory की तरह से यूज़ किया है, analogy की तरह से यूज़ किया है. And there are two ways to cut it. These are the two sons of bhakti, devotional service, which are detachment and knowledge. So with the weapon of detachment, one can cut off the tree. Trying to take off the root is very difficult for a tree, but you can cut it off very easily with the weapon of detachment. So here Purañjana is enjoying, and then Jara, she curses even Devashi Narad. So he actually tells her that you should go to this Yavanaraj. Yavanaraj ka naam kya hai? Bhai, fear. He's fear personified. And you should put the proposal. So she says, oh, thank you for letting me know. She goes to Yavanraj and tells him, Devashi Narad has sent me to get married to you. Now Yavanraj means he is fear personified and he doesn't follow any religion. But at the same time, he looks at what is for his benefit. Sometimes we see some people, they use fear as a weapon for them, right? So they actually become fear personified for others, because they are manipulative in their mind. They don't follow any shastras. They are very asuri bhavam, ashrita. So they have taken shelter to the asuri bhava. And how does a demonic person, asur, he thinks that I have so much today, I will get more tomorrow. All my enemies have been killed, and all others who are opposing me will be killed. Everyone will worship me. This is a demonic way of thinking. So this particular, Yavanaraj, Bhai, he says that here is my elder brother, Prajwar. Prajvar means fear. When at the time of death, हमारा जो शरीर का जो ताप है वो 107 degrees तक जाता है. तो Prajvar is the elder brother of fear, because as soon as you get such a high fever, you become more fearful. That is pleasing to the Yaman Raj. So Prajvar, he says that he is there to help me, and also I will help you find a husband, suitable husband. So I'll accept you as my sister. Now यवन राज जो है वो he is not even in the 4 categories. चतुर्वर्ण में भी नहीं है वो. ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र उनमें भी नहीं है. Further, he is fallen. So he is thinking that that's why people in this like Yavana or Malecha में जो होते हैं, they don't even differentiate between mother, sister and daughter. They have physical relationship even with those. So that has been revealed in the Shastras. That's why, we should follow the Shastras so that we are in the proper mindset and we don't do this abominable activity causing sinful reactions afterwards and sufferings to us and to others. So Yaman Raj accepts her as his sister. And now they are wandering, right? So this is where this chapter starts. Okay, they are wandering to find suitable groom for Jara, Kal Kanya Jara. And so they attack the city of Purañjana and Purañjani. So Purañjana, in his city of 9 gates, is enjoying very nicely. But Jara, she immediately goes and makes everything, all the inhabitants and all the facilities completely incapable of doing any function. तो ये बुढ़ापा जो होता है ना, ये इसी तरह से हमारे शरीर पे जब अटैक करते हैं, जैसे हमारे so even Srila Prabhupada, he was telling his disciples once that there is a big university, big building in Calcutta, and he was able to quickly climb up. He was a follower at the time of Gandhi, and स्वतंत्र के लिए struggle चल रहा था उस समय. देश निकालने की बात हो रही थी इनको ब्रिटिशर्स को कि हमारे देश से जाओ, हम स्वतंत्र भारत हैं. तो उसमें उनकी हेल्प करते हुए he was such a क्रांतिकारी, right, that to change the flag he just quickly climbed up to the top of the building. But he's showing his hand. He says, see, now it's flat tires, right? The hands, with the old age. So we are not this body. So the body becomes old. But here, people, when they see old age attacking them, they're thinking, I am getting old. No, actually, we have to take it in proper respect that the body is getting old, and that is actually a sign that even now it is not too late to take to devotional service. And all you have to do is start with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So ये जो King Purañjana था, he was embraced by this Jara, right? And he was constantly enjoying with his wife Purañjani intelligence. Even at the old age, the person thinks that my intelligence is perfect, right? So he was constantly meditating on his wife Purañjani, who was a very beautiful woman, and he was a very beautiful king. So he's thinking from that perspective. But what happens? Suddenly, उसको difference दिखने शुरू हो जाते हैं. उसको लगता है उसके तो 1,100 sons थे, right? And 110 daughters थी. So he sees that they are opposing him. In old age, जनरली एटीट्यूड होता है बच्चों का. वो बोलते हैं अरे यार ये पेरेंट्स जो है ना हर चीज़ में हमें कुछ टोकते रहते हैं, तो सनकी हो गए हैं. बुढ़ापे में लोग सनकी हो जाते हैं. इस तरह के वर्ड्स यूज़ करते हैं, विच इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी डिमोनिक. दे शुड अंडरस्टैंड द पर्सन इज टेलिंग फ्रॉम देयर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, देयर पर्सपेक्टिव. सो हैविंग अ कन्वर्सेशन, बेसिकली पेरेंट्स दे वांट टू हैव अ कन्वर्सेशन, बट देन एवरीवन थिंक्स दैट देयर इंटेलिजेंस इज परफेक्ट एंड दैट इफ यू आर ओल्डर देन यू हैव हायर इंटेलिजेंस, राइट? पॉसिबल. एक बहुत कॉमन कहावत है कि हमने धूप में ही बाल सफ़ेद नहीं किए हैं. हरे कृष्ण. सो ऐसे में दिस इज रिफरिंग टू द टाइम. द मोर यू हैव लिव्ड, यू थिंक दैट योर इंटेलिजेंस इज इंक्रीजिंग, based on the number of years you have lived. It is not so. Basically, the true sense of intelligence is how wonderfully you are engaging yourself in devotional service. And if you are engaging yourself very much in devotional service, then if you don't share that glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that can cause you to become envious also. So even there, even in the mode of goodness, there can be a mix of passion and ignorance. So there is also a very important lesson that we hear. Srila Prabhupada, once he asked Jamuna Mataji, to whom he himself taught how to cook food. So Jamuna Mataji would make amazingly wonderful bhoga, make an offering to Lord Krishna, Shri Radha Krishna, and then bring it to Srila Prabhupada and distribute it to the devotees. So everybody loved her cooking because she had learned directly from the expert Srila Prabhupada. And so one day Srila Prabhupada asked her, are you teaching others how you're cooking? So the other devotee disciple, she was normally cooking for Srila Prabhupada. She said, no, Srila Prabhupada, she is not sharing how she is cooking. Then Srila Prabhupada warned her, you must teach others what you have learned, otherwise it will make you envious. And envy is the cause which actually burns us inside. So Srila Narottam Das Thakur says that you can use all of the anarthas in devotional service, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsara, right? But you cannot use envy. So Matsara, envy cannot be used in devotional service. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he even says that even that can be used, right? And how can we use it? To become envious and to shut off the people who are offensive to devotees, and so you can use even that, but it has to be dovetailed in Krishna service, in propagating Krishna consciousness. That's why we see Srila Prabhupada calling people different names at different times. He would use some very strong words that we are not allowed to use, Hare Krishna, because we are on a much lower platform. He is a pure devotee of the Lord. So he can use, and he can even show by his example how even envy can be used to stop irreligious activities or the wrong paths that people are following. So that is being shown. So here जो जरा है she is making everything useless. So ऐसे में जब जरा old age body पे लगती है तो हमारे body के जो parts होते हैं, eyes होती हैं, we start wearing glasses, right? Because eyes are becoming weak. We start losing the sense of smell. We start hearing louder, right? ये भी होता है. And then हम जब वॉक कर रहे होते हैं, बॉडी में उतनी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी नहीं है, जो एक्टिविटीज़ कर सकते थे यूथ में, वी कुड पिक अप बिग बोल्डर्स. अब हल्का सा कोई भी सामान उठाते हैं तो उसमें बैक हिलने लगता है, राइट? हमारा जो बैक पेन वगैरह आ जाता है. इस तरह की डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज़, ये सब ओल्ड एज के साइंस हैं. सो दे शुड मेक अस मोर रियलाइज कि अरे ओल्ड एज इज कमिंग, लेट मी यूज एवरी मोमेंट इन लॉर्ड कृष्ण सर्विस. एंड द प्रोसेस इज सो सिंपल. ऑल यू हैव टू डू इज रेज योर हैंड एंड चैंट हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. सो लेकिन ये जो पुरंजन था, ये तो अपनी वाइफ के बारे में ही सोच रहा था, और ये देख के शौक था कि अरे मेरे बच्चे मेरे को अपोज कर रहे हैं और मैं इस तरह से मैं कैसे उनको समझाऊं. तो ही वॉज फाइंडिंग इट वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मेक देम अंडरस्टैंड थिंग्स. और इस बीच में क्या हुआ, अकाल कन्या, शी वॉज ऑल्सो सपोर्टेड बाय सोल्जर्स सेंट बाय हर फादर. So there were 360 Gandharva soldiers, and then Gandharvini thi, right, the knights. So 360 days and 360 nights, 720 soldiers were also attacking. So with the passing of a day and night in this material world, a person who thinks I'm this body, he ages, because the body is aging. But we living entities don't age. So when we are engaged in devotional service, there is no aging for the soul. It is only for the body. So when death comes, it is like thunder and lightning. There is a difference between the death of a devotee versus the death of a person who's a non-devotee. Now, what's the difference? There is a concept of thunder and lightning. So when you hear thunder, right, it's very scary. But in the life of a devotee, the lightning happens, right? The lightning happens first and then the thunder comes. So lightning happens first is like the devotee immediately gets the spiritual body, goes back home or engages in devotional service, even if born again in this material world. But a thunder causes, lot of fear. And that is very painful, very agonizing. So that is what happens for a non-devotee. So it is better to be devotee because then you don't go through this pressure. Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful example from Shastra. जो एक बिल्ली होती है, right? A cat has kittens in its mouth. Kitten is relaxed, mother के मुंह में है, right? So what's the fear? She will take care of me. But the same cat, when holds a mouse in its jaws, the mouth is fearful. Oh, death is here, right? She is going to eat me up. So that's the stage between a devotee and a non-devotee. It's better, even from that perspective, even from the fear perspective, to become a devotee. And the process is so simple. All you have to do is give up the sinful life, right? Where the four regulative principles are there. They are basically there to tell us to give up the sinful life. No meat eating, because that's giving pain to other living entities. No intoxication, because we cannot properly engage in activities when we are intoxicated. No illicit sex. So the sex is allowed only in grihastha life with the wife to beget children. and no gambling, because gambling is being untruthful. We are trying to tell ourselves that I'll win. We have the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, who lost everything, yet people don't learn. They are addicted to these things, right? This is the jal of Maya. She calls this as habit. Oh, I cannot live. What is there for in life? They give various kind of reasons. There was a godbrother of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Thakur who was approached by a Scottish gentleman, and he said, well, how can I become a Brahmin? The person said, very simple, just follow these 4 regulatory principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. You know what the person said? The Scottish gentleman said, impossible. Srila Prabhupada said, impossible is not a word in a dictionary of a devotee. Rather, we should be reading as I am possible. Everything is possible in devotional life when we seek to please Lord Shri Krishna. Right? And when we seek to please Lord Shri Krishna, of course, all our senses are also pleased, because He is Rishikesh, He is the master of the senses. If we are satisfying Him, of course, He, as an affectionate father, satisfies all our senses, and we become peaceful, we become happy, we become jubilant. So that is the important message. But here, we see Purañjana is in the body concept of life. He's thinking that he is this body, so he's trying to, help, but he's not able to do anything. With the old age, things are not working fine. And then comes the soldiers of Yavanraj. They attack, because through the 9 gates they enter the body. So various kind of diseases, they enter our body through the 9 holes in this body. So that has been identified here. And we say in this pandemic times, people are so much wearing masks, doing all this protection, so that these kind of diseases, the virus does not enter our body and attack our body and makes it useless, and the death could approach. So this is where Yavanraj, who's the commander-in-chief. So in pandemic times, this particular example is very clearly given, that we can understand it better, that with the 9 holes, the different kind of diseases can enter our body. So even though internally we may be well, but from outside we may have, right? So various kind of miseries will follow. Adi Devik, coming from natural disturbances, and Adi Bhautik, coming from other living entities, and Adhyatmik, coming from one's own mind. So sometimes one's own mind, which is like 99.999% miseries, we just create. Rai ka pahad bana lete hain. We, turn, a mountain from a mole. So again, this is where राई का पहाड़ बनाते हैं. तो इसको समझते हुए हमें properly engage करना चाहिए devotional service में, because then we come to know and realize that we are not this body, and we are like a kitten in the mouth of a cat. And Lord, He does not let us go through the pain. Rather, just like lightning, He gives us the spiritual body. And what do you do after giving up this body? You are engaged in Lord's devotional service by returning back home. Or even, devotees don't, even the acharyas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that I don't care if I am born in this material world, even as a worm, in a stool, but please keep me engaged in your devotional service. So that is an important lesson that we should take, कि हमें भगवान की भक्ति में लीन रहना है. जो भी स्थिति में रहें, वो तो बाहर की कंडीशन है. हमारे अंदर, how deep are we inside, right? A person who is very deep is very strong. So again, यहाँ पे King Purañjana जो है, he has been attacked now. All these Yavana soldiers have also attacked, and he sees that his wife has become indifferent to him. His people are becoming indifferent. He is now, the superintendent of the city was this Pranavayu, right? The 5-hooded snake. He is also attacked by the soldiers, the Gandharva soldiers and the Yavana soldiers. And he's trying to leave the city, but he's being checked. He cannot leave the city because his master is still there. The soul, Purañjana, is still there. So now, Purañjana has been embraced by Jara, and now he's being dragged by these Yavana soldiers. And he is thinking, oh, in my absence, how will my sons and my daughters, they survive? How will my relatives live? What will happen to my wife after I'm dead? How will she be able to maintain herself? How will she be able to maintain our children? So this is what a person thinks in the material consciousness. यहाँ पे बताया है. अरे सिंपल एग्जाम्पल दिया हुआ है शास्त्र में. पूत सपूत तो क्यों धन संचय, पूत कपूत तो क्यों धन संचय. If you have a good son, why do you have to collect wealth? Because the son will, have more wealth in the process of time. Put kaput, agar jo son hai wo bad son hai, whatever you collect, they will plunder it away. That's why it is said in the Shastra that at the time of death, all what you have collected is plundered away. And children, if they are not properly educated, then they become plunderers for parents. That's cause of agony as well. इसीलिए चाणक्य पंडित कहते हैं कि पुत्र शत्रु अपंडितः, अगर पुत्र पंडित नहीं है, if he is not in the proper knowledge. Pandit doesn't mean like a scholar, right? So many degrees. No, it is how you behave shows how much educated you are. So from that perspective, it's very important to understand that हमें अपने बच्चों की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को प्रॉपरली समझना चाहिए. एज गृहस्थ एज गृहिणी हमें समझना चाहिए कि ये लिविंग एंटिटीज़ हैं जो कि वैष्णवी हैं. भगवान की कृपा से हमें उनको मेंटेन करने, हमें उन्हें एजुकेट करने की ये फैसिलिटी मिली है, हमें ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मिली है. एंड so we should engage them more into the devotional service, help them understand the purpose of life, which is to get love of Godhead. And so before you go to the goal, you have to start, what is my relationship? हमारा संबंध क्या है? We are living entities. Jivera Surupoya Krishna Nityadas. So we are eternal servant. So what is the process? A servant serves the master, right? So a servant serves the master, which means we have to engage in service. What kind of service we should engage in? Should we do meditation? Should we do this? Should we do that? What is the best way? So again, time, place and circumstances के लिए हमें समझना चाहिए कि हिसाब से कि in this particular times, in Kali age, we should take to Sankirtan Yajna. Kriteta Dadhayate Vishrum Tirtayam Yajatom, okay? Dwapari Paricharyayam Kalautadhari Kirtana. In Krita age, Satyuga, one could meditate for tens of thousands of years and can attain perfection. Now, that was in Satyuga. We don't have such a long life because people would live for 100,000 years. 1,00,000 वर्ष तक जीते थे. आज के समय हम इतना नहीं जीते हैं. हमें 100 वर्ष आयु होती है. नहीं. कृतेतद्धायते विश्वम त्रेतायाम यजतुम में क्या? त्रेता युग में वेरियस काइंड ऑफ सैक्रिफाइसेस, किंग प्राचीन भविष्य जिस तरह से सैक्रिफाइसेस कर रहे हैं, एनिमल सैक्रिफाइसेस चल रही हैं, इसमें भी बहुत क्लेनलीनेस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बट for thousands of years people would do this to get the perfection. So it's also very difficult from our perspective because the samagri is not clear. The mantras chanted by the priests are not qualified, the brahmanas are not qualified to chant the mantras. Previously, chanting of the mantras was tested, that they would, kill an animal by chanting the mantra. The animal would immediately appear with a human form, right? So the body would not have to go through 8.4 million species, जो भी sequence है उसमें नहीं, immediately they would advance to human form of life, which is a great facility because now that living entity can engage in devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead. But that is not the qualification of today's Brahmanas. And Dwapare Paricharyayam. Paricharya. So again, Paricharya was generally referred to as temple worship, but it is pilgrimage. Just like Mahatma Vidhu, he went on a pilgrimage. Even Lord Balaram went on a pilgrimage when Kurukshetra was started. He decided not to participate in it. He went on a pilgrimage. So that is the process, that people would travel to तीर्थ स्थान, धाम पे जाते थे. आज के समय भी जैसे हम लोग वृंदावन धाम जाते हैं, मायापुर धाम जाते हैं, तो इस तरह से धाम पे जाते हैं, प्रयाग जाते हैं. तो ये जो धाम पे जाने का था, ये द्वापर. लेकिन कलावताधरी कीर्तन, इन कली एज the best process is Sankirtan Yajna, right? Which is simply to taking to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By taking to the chanting of the holy name, we can easily, get the perfection of this life, which is love of Godhead. So the 9 process Navida जो भक्ति होती है उसको फॉलो करते हैं. श्रवणम कीर्तनम विष्णु स्मरणम पाद सेवनम अर्चनम वंदनम दास्यम साक्यम आत्म निवेदनम. Hearing, chanting, remembering the Lord, serving His lotus feet, doing vandana, praying to the Lord, doing worship. So when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we are worshipping the Lord by our intelligence. When we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we are engaging in Shravanam. Right? When we are glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam and the various personalities and the pastimes of the Lord and that of devotees, we are actually glorifying, Kirtanam. So that's also Kirtan. It's not just the music that people, chant, but also this glorification is in the category of Kirtan. So, and we are constantly remembering. So as soon as you call someone, you immediately remember that person, right? So as soon as you call your son, right? The image appears in your mind. So similarly, when we engage in glorification of the Lord, He appears, in our chitta, right? Smaranam. So that is constantly, so we are constantly looking to engage, because Lord Krishna says, Mayeva manadhasva, my buddhi niveshya. So always think of me and engage your intelligence in me. So इस तरह से हम अपने आप को engage कर सकते हैं. अब जो King Puranjan था, he was being dragged away out of this city. Now the very interesting thing that the जो 500 snake था, that was also following this, his master Puranjan. And as soon as they left the city of 9 gates, the whole city, was completely abolished and completely destroyed, became dust. So ये जब as soon as the living entity leaves the body starts deteriorating. ये जो body है, right, 5 gross elements की बनी हुई, इसका immediately deterioration होता है, because only till the body के अंदर जब हम living entity रहते हैं, only till that time it is constantly being, functioning. As soon as the living entity leaves the body, the functioning stops, all the maintenance stops, and everything starts degrading. So इस तरह से King Puranjana, when he was being dragged away by the Yavan Raja and his soldiers, Prajwara is 107 degrees. So again, that temperature was reaching, and then he leaves his body. But since he was thinking of his queen, Puranjani, he receives the body of a girl. So again, he is born as daughter of the king of Videha. So king of Videha, so again, he is born as as a woman's body, in a woman's body, and so at that time, because he was thinking of his wife at the last moment. So Acharyas reveal that whatever you think, and Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, Attaining the Supreme, is saying, we call it a yummy mantra. Why? Because again, for non-devotees, it's a yama mantra. Yama mantra means like Yamaraj, they should remember that this particular mantra. It is simply starting with yam. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajyantanta kalevaram tam tam evati kanteya sada tad bhava bhavita. So whatever one thinks at the moment, last moment of his life, at the moment of death, that one attains, that's the body, that's the goal that one attains. So since he was thinking of his wife, his next birth is, that of a woman. So that's similarly we hear as how Bharat Maharaj, he became too attached to the deer, right, that he was taking care of. So at the last moment he was thinking of that deer, so he actually got deer's body. But by Lord's mercy, since he was engaged in devotional service, his intelligence was not lost. He remembered that in the previous life he was the emperor of the world, and that he actually got attached to a deer, and so he got a deer's a deer's body. And then after giving up the deer body, he actually attains, again gets born, he gets the birth as a Brahman son, and his name is still Bharat, but he acts dull. Why? Because his father wants to engage him in studying Vedas, and he knew that that's not the right path. The right path is devotional service. So he would internally be constantly meditating, but outwardly he would act as a jada, as a dull person. So everyone called him Jada Bharat. Until the point when King Rahuguna meets him. And when he reveals, the spiritual knowledge, revelation of that makes him, uncover that he's actually a great personality. Jada Bharat is not a simple person. So here, King Puranjana, he is, giving up his body. He, becomes a daughter of King Vidarbha. He gets the woman's body. And so, it was fixed that Vadarbi, the daughter of King Vidarbha, was to marry a very powerful person, Malyadhwaja, right? He was an inhabitant of Pandu country. So again, after conquering other princes, he married the daughter of King Vidarbha. So it's also revealing here कि जैसे राजकुमारियों के लिए स्वयंवर करते थे, उस तरह से स्वयंवर का अरेंजमेंट किया किंग विदर्भा ने. वहाँ डिफरेंट किंग्स एंड प्रिंसेस आए, एंड जो मल्य ध्वज था, ही श्योर दैट ही इज द मोस्ट पावरफुल अमंग ऑल द गैदर्ड प्रिंसेस. सो ही डिफीटेड देम एंड फाइनली ही मैरिड द डॉटर ऑफ किंग विदर्भा. अच्छा, जो मल्य ध्वज राजा था, राइट, ऑफ द पांडु किंगडम, राइट, पांडु कंट्री का, तो वहाँ पे ही फर्स्ट हैड अ डॉटर. शी हैड वेरी ब्लैक आइज, राइट, और उसके 7 बेटे भी हुए फ्रॉम Vaidarbhi is none other than previous life was Purañjana. So through her he had, और जो द्रविड़ देश था, right, उस tract of land में they became the rulers. So there were 7 kings in that land. So जो देवर्षि नारद बता रहे हैं किंग प्राचीन भविष्यत को कि ये जो बेटे थे, ये जो मल्लध्वज के बेटे थे, इन्होंने many thousands of sons हुए उनके, बहुत सारे पुत्र हुए, हजारों में पुत्र हुए, और वो सारे पुत्र they had been protecting the entire world up to the end of one Manu's lifespan and even after that. So Manu's lifespan, so again Lord Brahma के एक दिन में 14 मनु होते हैं, जो एक कल्प होता है, जो एक डे ऑफ लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा होता है, उस पर 1000 चतुर वो होते हैं युगस, एंड सो दैट्स लाइक 71 सम युगस इज द ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द लाइफ ऑफ 1 मनु. तो इस पूरे लाइफ में ये सारे जो बेटे थे मल्लध्वज के, वो दे वर मेंटेनिंग, एडमिनिस्ट्रिंग वेरी नाइसली. और द ग्रेट सेज नेम अगस्त्य, he married the firstborn daughter of मल्लध्वज, जो उनकी सबसे बड़ी पुत्री, ज्येष्ठ पुत्री, एक ही पुत्री थी, 7 तो बेटे थे, तो उससे सेज अगस्त्य ने मैरिज करा, राइट. एंड जो मल्लध्वज थे वो भगवान कृष्ण के बड़े भक्त थे. सो ये जो अगस्त्य मुनि से जो बेटी का ब्याह हुआ, तो उनसे एक पुत्र भी हुआ, अगस्त्य मुनि का पुत्र, उसका नाम धृद्यच्युता, राइट. और फिर दूसरा बेटा भी हुआ, उसका नाम था इदमवाहा. And then ये जो मल्लध्वज थे, after dividing his kingdom, as you know person becomes old, they after 50 years half life जब हो जाए, तो उसके बाद में they should engage in devotional service all the time. So since this was the time of Treta Yuga, Mallodhvaj he divided his kingdom and he went to a solitary place known as Kulachal. वो कुलाचल में जाके उन्होंने meditation में, भगवान की भक्ति में, devotional service में अपने आप को engage किया. और उनकी पत्नी जो थी वैदर्भी, वो भी उनके साथ आई और उनका ख्याल रखती थी. सो अगेन दिस इज वेयर इट इज आइडेंटिफाइड दैट हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ दे हैव अ परफेक्ट अरेंजमेंट. सो इवन आफ्टर गिविंग अप द फैमिली लाइफ, दे डोंट गिव अप ईच अदर, मेनी टाइम्स दे गो टुगेदर, राइट. एंड द वाइफ टेक्स केयर ऑफ हस्बैंड. तो जो मल्लध्वज थे, वो जब कुलाचल से, व्हेन ही डिपार्टेड फॉर कुलाचल, उनकी जो डिवोटेड वाइफ थी वैदर्भी, वो उनका ख्याल रखने के लिए, उनका फैमिली से अटैचमेंट मदर्स को बहुत होता है, राइट. बट शी फॉर हर हस्बैंड शी गिव अप ऑल दैट अटैचमेंट, बिकॉज हस्बैंड का जो सर्विंग करने का, उसका जो दे आर एक्चुअली कंसिडर्ड वन एंटिटी, हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ इन गृहस्थ लाइफ. तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारी रिवर्स थी कुलाचल में, चंद्रवसा, ताम्रपर्णी एंड वतोदका. इस तरह से जो रिवर्स जब फ्लो करती हैं, तो इट्स एक्चुअली क्रिएट्स अ वेरी ऑस्पिशियस, सात्विक वातावरण क्रिएट होता है. एंड नॉर्मली इन अ सेक्लूडेड प्लेस व्हेन वन कैन कंट्रोल द सेंसेस, और वहाँ पे अपना लाइफ, सिंपल लिविंग, हायर थिंकिंग को प्रैक्टिस किया जा सकता है, बिकॉज नॉट मैनी फैसिलिटीज आर देयर. सो वो बेसिकली एवरी डे ही वुड टेक बाथ, प्यूरिफाई करते थे एक्सटर्नली एंड इंटरनली बाय द चैंटिंग ऑफ द होली नेम. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. और जो भी वहाँ से कंद, फूल, फल जो भी मिलते थे, उनको तोड़ के लेके भगवान को सर्व करते थे, ऑफर करते थे, और उसके बाद में अपनी पत्नी के साथ उनसे ग्रहण करते थे. इसे भी एक्चुअली डिवोशन सर्विस कहते हैं, प्रसादम सेवा. प्रसाद का मीनिंग होता है मर्सी. सो यू गेट मर्सी ऑफ द लॉर्डशिप व्हेन यू ऑफर हिम, भोगा ऑफरिंग, whatever we have, yat karoshi yadashnasi. Yadashnasi is whatever you eat. Yat yohoshi tadasi, yat tapasyasi kante tat karoshyamadapram. Whatever we do, all activities we do is mind, body and words. Whatever we eat, right, all kind of different kind of, sattvic food, not abominable food stuff. We should not do that, because that's against the injunction of Shastra and very harmful to the body. The body in mode of goodness gives strength, long life and potency to our body. तो हमें ऐसे nutritious food ग्रहण करना चाहिए आफ्टर ऑफरिंग टू द लॉर्डशिप. और जो भी यज्ञ, दान और तप करते हैं, यत तपस्या से कौन थे तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम. सो भगवान कहते हैं कि मुझको अर्पण करने के बाद में उसे ग्रहण करो. तो इस तरह से ही ये राजा जो थे, बिल्कुल सिंपल तरीके से जो भी कंद, फूल, फल जो भी मिलते थे भगवान को ऑफर करते थे, जो भी जल लेते थे भगवान को ऑफर करते थे. इस तरह से वो सिवियर ऑस्टेरिटीज करते थे, तो वो बहुत स्किनी हो गए, राइट. और ये जो था with the austerities, one becomes very strong internally. तो आज भी हम लोग देखते हैं बहुत से साधु महात्मा हिमालय पे जाके केवल कुपी न पहने हुए, वन क्लॉथ ऑन द वेस्ट ओनली, उस तरह से बिल्कुल 0 डिग्री टेम्परेचर और नेगेटिव माइनस डिग्री टेम्परेचर्स में भी दे आर meditating. So this body because of austerity can have प्राणवायु को बहुत important तरीके से कंट्रोल करना आ जाता है. So this is by practice. Sometimes people give this example, practice makes a man perfect, but actually practice just makes it permanent. अगर आप गलत प्रैक्टिस करोगे तो वो परमानेंट हो जाएगी. ये जो संस्कार है, रॉन्ग टाइप के जो संस्कार है, वो परमानेंट हो गए. सो बेसिकली यू नीड टू नो द राइट प्रैक्टिस विल मेक द मैन परफेक्ट. सो यू हैव टू टेक द राइट पाथ, विच इज taking to devotional service, simply starting with the chanting of holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So King Maledhwaj जो थे, उन्होंने अपने इंद्रियों पे नियंत्रण पा लिया, अपनी लाइफ पे, अपने प्राणवायु पे नियंत्रण पा लिया, और हमेशा भगवान कृष्ण के मेडिटेशन में रहते थे. ना इस पे रेफरेंस दिया है सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन, बिकॉज त्रेता युग था, और so he was actually Satyug, so he was able to meditate, right? और इस तरह से उन्होंने 1,000 years, 100 years by the calculation of the demigods. So demigods का जो एक दिन होता है वो हमारे 6 months होता है, जो नाइट होती है वो another 6 months. तो उनका एक दिन जो होता है वो हमारा whole year होता है. So अगर कोई 100 years कर रहा है तो you can imagine 360 days in a year of heavenly planets is equal to 360 years, and 100 years means 360 and then 100, so 36,000 years he was engaged, because जो सतयुग था उसमें people had a life of 100,000 years, 1,00,000 वर्ष तक जी सकते थे. So ऐसे में meditate करते हुए he became perfect in knowledge, and he understood that I am the soul and there is the super soul. He was able to distinguish. Now individual soul is localized, where super soul is all pervasive. जो हमारा सोल है इस बॉडी में है, so I am here, so I cannot be there where you are, right? But Lord is everywhere. So, and you are at one place. So if you are a soul, then you cannot be at another place because you are limited with the body. So in this way, he became perfect with the knowledge of the material body, that I am not this body, I am the soul, and I am a witness, I am a passenger in this body. I am being taken away. सो ऐसे में वो भगवान की भक्ति में लीन थे, और विद दिस एनलाइटनिंग ऑफ दिस ट्रांसडेंटल नॉलेज वो सब चीज़ों को प्रॉपर विजन में देख सकते थे, बिकॉज वो भक्ति में लीन थे. उनको कृष्णा सूर्य समा माया है अंधकारा, जहाँ कृष्णा तहाँ नहीं माया अधिकारा. सो भगवान कृष्णा ही इज़ लाइक द सन. सो ऐसे में जब सन राइज करता है तो हम सब चीज़ों को अच्छी तरह से परसीव कर सकते हैं, सब देख सकते हैं, समझ सकते हैं. अंधेरे में हमें तो अपने हाथ भी दिखाई नहीं देते हैं. Forget about anything else. We don't know if there is a rope or a snake if we step on a rope, right? Or a snake. We don't know what we may be stepping into or onto. So in this particular case, ये बहुत ही important lesson हमें मिलता है कि जब हम भक्ति में लगते हैं तो हमें everything is revealed. Now today's scholars, they become fearful, they become very insecure जब ये सुनते हैं. तो बोलते हैं what is the proof? अरे भाई भक्ति में लगे रहोगे तुम्हें सारा ज्ञान कैसे आ जाएगा? भगवान की कृपा है जी. आपने चतुश्लोकी गीता नहीं सुनी है? उसका जो लास्ट वर्स है, तेषामेवानुकंपार्थम हम अज्ञानजं तमहानाश्यामि आत्मभावस्तो ज्ञानदीपेन भासता. तेषाम एवानुकंपार्थम, भगवान कृष्ण खुद कह रहे हैं कि मेरी अनुकंपा से, बाय माय कंपैशन, बाय माय मर्सी, अहम अज्ञानजं तम, आई as with the knowledge of light of knowledge, I drive away the ignorance. Tesham evanukampatham aham ajnanajam tamah, जो darkness है, that is driven away. Nashyamya is driven away. Atma bhavastu jnana deepena. So I am sitting in everyone's heart, Lord Krishna is saying, and by my anukampa, with the light of knowledge, I drive away all the ignorance. So a person who is in knowledge will act correctly. So becoming self-realized, he, King Malyadhwaj, he was engaged in devotional service. So the Vaidarbhi, the daughter of King Vidarbha, she accepted her husband in all as the supreme. So a wife should always, treat her husband, because your husband होते हैं, he is considered as representative of the Lord. So that is also being exemplified here. While the husband should look at his wife as a Vaishnavi. So अगर wife अपने husband को वैष्णव की तरह देखती है तो husband should look at and treat his wife as Vaishnavi, and so he should be always seeking her best interest and engage her in devotional service along with him. So she also gave up this king विदर्भ की जो पुत्री जो पुरंजन थे पिछले जन्म में, उन्होंने भी सारे संयोजन में छोड़ के बिल्कुल अपने हस्बैंड की तरह से सर्विस में, डिवोशनल सर्विस में उनकी हेल्प करते हुए एंगेज रहीं. तो किंग विदर्भा जब जो डॉटर थी उनकी, जो वैदर्भी थी, जो मल्यध्वज की जो वाइफ थी, वो पुराने कपड़े पहनती थी. वो भी बिल्कुल अपने पति की जैसे बिल्कुल लीन हो गई थी, थिन हो गई थी बिकॉज ऑफ सो मच ऑस्टेरिटी. और चूँकि उन्होंने अपने बालों का, केशों का ख्याल नहीं रखा था, तो आपस में एंटेंगल होके दे बिकेम लॉक्स की तरह, जटाएं बन गई थी उनके जो बाल थे. येट शी वॉज ऑलवेज सर्विंग हर हस्बैंड, शी वॉज ऑलवेज साइलेंट एंड अनएजिटेटेड. नाउ ब्यूटिफुली देवेशी नारद ये बता रहे हैं कि शी वॉज अनएजिटेटेड एज द फ्लेम ऑफ एन अनडिस्टर्ब फायर. सो कोई दीपक कहीं शांत जगह पे जहाँ कोई हवा नहीं चल रही है, जिस तरह से बिल्कुल मध्यम बिल्कुल कंसंट्रेटेड फॉर्म में स्टेबली चलता है, उस तरह से बिल्कुल स्टेशनरी एंड रेगुलेटेड मैनर में शी वॉज कैरिंग आउट, और कॉन्स्टेंटली अपने हस्बैंड को सर्व कर रही थी. राइट. और ऐसे ही एक बार क्या हुआ कि एक बार उनके अपने पति के चरण कमलों को जब दबा रही थी, उनके पाँव दबा रही थी, शी कुड फील कि अरे उनके पाँव गर्म नहीं है, तो समझ जाती है कि इनकी मृत्यु हो चुकी है मेरे पति की. और जैसे ही उनको ये फील होता है कि उनके हस्बैंड, तो शी बिकम्स फुल ऑफ एंग्जाइटी. राइट. दैट इज नेचुरल बिकॉज शी वॉज in love with her husband. She knew her husband is a great personality, a great yogi. Raja Rishi hote the, right? Satyug mein to everyone is Hamsa. So here, her husband was a great Raja Rishi, a very saintly king. And now that he has left her, she doesn't know who's going to take care of her. Who will she serve? She is more worried about serving, giving pleasure to her husband. And now that he has left, who will she served. तो इस तरह से वो बहुत एंशियस हो जाती हैं. Just like the deers, they feel anxiety when being separated from their mate. So this is an example. So even in the material body, husband, wife, they have great attachment. At least in the beginning when they are married, right? I understand this. Just like Purañjana के केस में मैंने सुना था कि even his wife had become indifferent when he became old and he was, going in his own manner. So being alone and a widow in the forest, whether भी जो किंग मल्यध्वज की जो पत्नी थी, जो विडो हो गई थी, जो विधवा हो गई थी, वो शी स्टार्टेड लेमेंटिंग फॉर हर हस्बैंड. शी वाज शेडिंग टीयर्स सो मच सो कि उनके पूरा छाती में से अगेन पूरा गीला हो गया. शी वाज क्राइंग आउट वेरी लाउडली, oh best of the kings, please get up, just see this world surrounded by water and infested with rogues and so-called the kings. This world is very much afraid and it is your duty to protect her. So again, she is not calling for herself, but she is feeling the separation that you carry out your duty and I carry out my duty, right? So it's the most obedient wife, and as जो धर्म पत्नी कहते हैं, right? Dharam is as following the prescribed duties. That's the dharam refers to dharam patni. She fell at the feet of her husband, and so she was crying very pitifully in that अकेले व्यावान जंगल में इस तरह से अकेली वो विडो हो गई हैं, विधवा हो गई हैं. तो फिर भी उन्होंने अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि उनका धर्म पत्नी की तरफ से क्या उनकी ड्यूटी है, उन्होंने पूरा पायर बनाया, उनकी चिता तैयार करी, अपने पति के शरीर को उस चिता के ऊपर रखा. राइट. और वो इस तरह से सिवियरली जब लमेंट कर रही थी, जब उन्होंने चिता पे आग लगा दी, तो उन्होंने डिसाइड करा कि जो सेपरेशन है फ्रॉम हर हस्बैंड, शी कैन नॉट बियर इट. तो ये जो सती प्रथा थी, लोग अपनी इच्छा से फायर में एंटर करते थे, बिकॉज द फायर ऑफ द सेपरेशन वॉज मच मोर अनबियरेबल देन द फायर इन द फायर. राइट. सो ये जो चिता की जो अग्नि है, उससे ज़्यादा जो चिंता है, जो एंग्जाइटी है, जो लेमेंटेशन, वो ज़्यादा अंदर से जला रही होती है. सो चिंता चिता के समान होती है, कहते हैं. द डिफरेंस इज, चिता तो शरीर त्याग करने के बाद में शरीर को जलाती है, चिंता तो हमें जीते जीते जला जाती है. सो वी शुड बी वेरी मच केयरफुल नॉट बी इन एंग्जाइटी. एंग्जाइटी इज एक्चुअली क्लोजर देन लेमेंटेशन, क्योंकि जो चिंता होती है वो दो तरह की चिंता होती है. एक तो पास्ट की चिंता होती है जो लेमेंटेशन होता है, और एक फ्यूचर की चिंता होती है जो कि एस्पिरेशंस होते हैं. तो ये जो एंग्जाइटी होती है, इससे हमें बचना चाहिए. क्योंकि हमें एक्स की तरह से काटती है. सो जो उस समय देवर्षि नारद कहते हैं किंग प्राचीन परिषद, वहाँ पे एक ब्राह्मण है जो कि पुरंजन के दो पुराने दोस्त थे. ये जो ब्राह्मण थे अविज्ञात, राइट, और वो वहाँ पे आए. उन्होंने उस रानी को बहुत ही मीठे शब्दों में शांत करने की कोशिश करी. उन्होंने उनसे पूछा कि तुम कौन हो, किसकी पत्नी हो, किसकी डॉटर हो, और ये जो पर्सन यहाँ पे चिता पे लेटा हुआ है वो कौन है, और ये लग रहा है कि तुम इस डेड बॉडी के लिए लमेंट कर रही हो. तुम मुझे याद नहीं कर सकती, मैं तुम्हें नहीं पता कि मैं कौन हूँ. अरे मैं तुम्हारा पुराना मित्र हूँ, मैं तुम्हारा दोस्त हूँ, राइट. एंड यू शुड रिमेंबर, यू कैन रिमेंबर कि मैनी टाइम्स इन द पास्ट यू हैव कंसल्टेड मी, राइट. तुमने मुझसे बहुत सी बार सलाह मशविरा लिया है. सो नाउ थिंक ऑफ इट दिस वे कि ये एक क्वीन है, शी जस्ट बिकेम विडो, right. She placed her husband's body on the pyre, and then a Brahman comes and says कि अरे मैं तुम्हारा दोस्त हूँ. What will be her condition, right? You can think of it this, like she's in a shocked state. Who's this Brahman? How can he be my friend? I'm fully devoted wife of this king. So Brahman continue by sweet words कहीं कहते हुए उनको रिवील कर रहे हैं. सो एज द ब्राह्मण इज सेइंग थिंग्स, शी इज एक्चुअली गेटिंग दैट नॉलेज, दैट रिविलेशन बाय द मर्सी ऑफ अविज्ञात, द फ्रेंड. सो अगेन, यस, यू हैव अंडरस्टूड, दिस ब्राह्मण इज नन अदर देन लॉर्ड श्री कृष्णा. सो ही इज a super soul is revealing, right? Aham agyana jamtama nashyami atma bhavastu jnana dipena bhasata. By the light of knowledge he is removing her darkness. So बोल रहे हैं मेरे प्रिय मित्र, अगर तुम मुझे इमीडिएटली नहीं रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकते, तब भी तुम याद करो कि पहले बहुत बहुत जन्म में हम लोग किस तरह से, तुम यानी अध्यात्म जीवन में, राइट, नॉट इन दिस मटेरियल, किस तरह से हम लोग एक इंटीमेट फ्रेंड थे. वी वर सो क्लोज टू ईच अदर. लेकिन तुमने मेरी कंपनी छोड़ के अपने आप को एंजॉय करने के लिए इस भौतिक जगत का सहारा लिया, राइट. एंड यू वांटेड टू लॉर्ड ओवर दिस मटेरियल नेचर. अरे मेरे प्रिय मित्र, राइट, मेरे दोस्त, अरे हम दोनों तो हैं वो दो स्वान की तरह हैं, राइट. हमसस. Hamsas are also very important. Now the word Hamsa, in Satyuga mein, people were born as Hamsa because Hamsa, they were called Hamsas because Hamsa, अगर आपको पानी और दूध को मिक्स कर दिया जाए, Hamsa would drink the milk away and leave the water behind. That is the quality. इसका मतलब ये होता है, आचार्य एक्सप्लेन करते हैं कि नॉलेज को इग्नोरेंस से सेपरेट करना, टू रियली नो व्हाट इज राइट एंड व्हाट इज रॉन्ग, दैट डिस्टिंक्शन कैन बी डन. एंड दैट्स व्हाई द परमहंसास जो होते थे, वो दे न्यू हाउ एवरीथिंग कैन बी यूज्ड इन लॉर्ड कृष्णा सर्विस. And we also understand, following the footsteps, by taking the instruction, that it all starts with the chanting of the holy name in current times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So ये जो अविज्ञात दोस्त हैं, वो फिर रिवील कर रहे हैं ब्राह्मण फॉर्म में कि अरे हम एक ही साथ दोनों एक ही हृदय में तो रहते थे, राइट. ईश्वर सर्वभूतानां हृदय दैश्य अर्जुन तिष्ठति. So the soul, we, and the super soul, they are so close to each other, living in the heart of this material body, right. They are the passengers, they are living in this body, which is just like the Manasa lake. Ab jab Manasa lake ka Manas lake is like, mind. So again, this is where the two Hamsas, they are in a lake, they do various kind of, they play together, they live together, they enjoy together, right, for many thousands of years from the original home. So he is revealing that this is in the spiritual world that we are living. तुम तो मेरे वही दोस्त हो, जब से तुम मुझे छोड़ के गए हो तुम बहुत ज़्यादा मटेरियलिस्टिक बन गए हो, तुम्हारे जो दृष्टिकोण है वो बहुत दूषित हो गया है, और तुम मुझे देखते भी नहीं हो, राइट. क्योंकि जब किंग पुरंजन को यवन राज के जो सोल्जर्स ले आ रहे थे ना, at that time he was so much thinking of his wife Puranjani, he did not remember his friend Abhigyat, Lord Shri Krishna, the super soul Paramatma in our heart. And so at that time उसने बहुत सारी sacrifices करी थी किंग पुरंजन ने. तो जो animals थे, they were, with their horns they were piercing him when he was being dragged away. So it was like his body was cut into by various axes, right, into pieces. ऐसा feel हो रहा था. That was the condition. So again, this is what happens when we think I'm this body, right? And then the Brahman, the super soul, the Paramatma, he's revealing, Arey, you have been traveling in so many different forms. तुमने कितने जन्म लिए, कितने different bodies को तुमने ग्रहण किया है, which were created by some woman. Some woman is Maya, the material energy, देवी हेषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामे वे प्रपद्यन्ते माया में ताम तरंती थे. So Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita reveals, okay, Devi Hesha Gurumai, ye jo material energy of mind, so she is under his, supervision. Gurumai, 3 guna, right? Sattva guna, Raja guna, Tamo guna. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Mama Maya Duratya is very difficult to cross over. This is ये जो भौतिक जो होता है जगत उसको भव सागर कहते हैं. It's very difficult to cross over. Ocean of nascence, right? Duratya, very difficult to cross over. Mameviya prapadam. But then one who surrenders unto me, Maya metam tarantite, can very easily cross over it. So that's why, if you want to cross over this ocean of nascence, this ocean of miseries, then ocean of temporary nature, constant changes in our life, all we have to do is take to devotional service, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in that city, right, there are 5 gardens, 9 gates. ये जो human form of life है, ये मिली है. और ऐसे में ये जो उसको डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं कि जो पुरंजन था उसके जो सिटी थी बाहर 5 गार्डन्स थे, 9 जो हमारे 9 होल्स इन द बॉडी है, ह्यूमन फॉर्म ऑफ लाइफ, 1 प्रोटेक्टर प्राणवायु है, 3 अपार्टमेंट्स एंड बेसिकली द मेन इंग्रेडिएंट्स आर अर्थ, वाटर एंड फायर इन दिस बॉडी. एयर एंड ईथर जो प्राणवायु है वो मैनेज करता है और ईथर गिव्स अस द फॉर्म. और जो 5 स्टोर्स थे, दीज आर फॉर द वेरियस काइंड ऑफ एक्टिविटीज. And then 5 material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And the 1 woman who is the lord of the house is intelligence. So this has been described him. और उसके बाद में ब्राह्मण बताते हैं कि अरे ये जो तुम इस तरह से अपनी 6 फैमिलीज और द एग्रीगेट टोटल ऑफ माइंड एंड 5 सेंसेस के साथ रह रहे थे, और जो 5 स्टोर्स से जो वर्किंग सेंसरी ऑर्गन्स थे उनके साथ ट्रांसैक्ट कर रहे थे, डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एक्टिविटीज, डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ बिजनेस ऑफ योर्स, थिंकिंग दैट दे आर इटर्नल. बट देन beyond this, you are the soul. You are the living entity, right? You are the soul. You are the person and the enjoyer in reality, right? But now, because you are hidden within the city of this body, you are devoid of all knowledge. तो इस तरह से ये जो वेदर भी है, जो अपने हस्बैंड मानव ध्वज के लिए, she is getting revealed. She is remembering when the Brahman, who is none other than super soul, is revealing by his mercy. एवानुकंपा, तुम अनुकंपा है भगवान की, जो सुपर सोल है हमारे हृदय में, वो जब हमें अनुकंपा देते हैं, भगवान जब हमें रिवील करते हैं. एंड ऑल्सो अंदर तो चैत्य गुरु की तरह है, पर बाहर एज बोनाफाइड स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर की तरह अपीयर करते हैं, क्योंकि शास्त्रों में दिया हुआ है. ये इसको रिवील किया है. ब्रह्मांड भविते कौन भाग्यवान जीवा, गुरु कृष्ण प्रसाद पाए भक्ति लता बीज. सो हम लोग वी आर वॉन्डरिंग इन दिस ब्रह्मांड, राइट? हम इस भौतिक जगत में बस कभी फेरिस व्हील की तरह, जैसे श्रील प्रभुपाद कहते हैं, या कभी हम लोग पाताल लोक में, हम लोग यम लोक में, इस तरह से वी कुड बी सफरिंग इन द लोअर प्लैनेटरी सिस्टम्स, हेलिश प्लैनेट्स में. कभी जिस तरह से फेरिस व्हील जो होता है, हवाई झूला होता है, जब टॉप पे पहुंच जाता है, समटाइम्स वी गेट द बॉडी ऑफ अ डेमी गॉड एंड समटाइम्स वी आर इन द मिडिल लेवल विच इज़ द अर्थली प्लैनेट्स. हमें ह्यूमन बॉडी मिलता है, डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ फ्रूटिव एक्टिविटीज़ में लगे होते हैं. इस तरह से वी आर वॉन्डरिंग इन दिस मटेरियल. बट कौन है भाग्यवान जीव? बट वन इज फॉर्चुनेट that with the help of Chaitya Guru as the super soul in the heart, one gets the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Guru Krishna Prasade Paye. So by the mercy of Krishna one gets Guru, and by the mercy of Guru one can attain Krishna. It's like Guru Krishna Prasade Paye. By the mercy, right? Prasad means mercy, remember this. I know it could be time for your dinner. Bhakti Lata Bija. So what is that mercy? That mercy is the devotional life. That भक्ति लता का जो बीज है, ये जो सीड है, जब उसको बोते हैं, तो उसको जब आप सीड बोते हो तो उसको फ्रक्टिफाई करने के लिए क्या चाहिए? पानी चाहिए. व्हाट इज द वाटरिंग ऑफ दिस सीड? इट इज द चैंटिंग ऑफ होली नेम. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. सो जो ब्राह्मण हैं वैदर्भी को रिवील कर रहे हैं कि चूंकि तुम मुझे भूल गई हो, तुम अपना ओरिजिनल स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ भूल गया. जीवेरा स्वरूप हुए कृष्ण नित्यदास. उस कृष्ण नित्यदास, ये अपने दैट यू एटर्नल सर्वेंट ऑफ भगवान कृष्ण, ये भूल गए हो. इसके कारण वेरियस मिजरेबल कंडीशन से क्रॉस कर रहे हो. अरे ना तो तुम किसी विदर्भा राजा की पुत्री हो, ना ही तुम ये मालधवज भी ये बॉडी है, राइट, और नॉर इज दिस योर वेल विशिंग हस्बैंड, राइट, इज वेल विशिंग बट लाइक नॉट योर हस्बैंड, राइट, नॉर were you the actual husband of Purañjana in the previous birth, right? Purañjana के जब अपने आप को पुरंजन सोचते हुए तुम्हारी वो भी हस्बैंड नहीं थे तुम उसके पुरंजनी के, you were simply captivated by the body of 9 years. तुम सिर्फ ये बॉडी से captivated हो, you are mesmerized, it's a mirage that you are thinking. So कभी तुम सोचते हो कि तुम एक आदमी हो, कभी सोचते हो कि धर्मपत्नी हो, कभी सोचते हो कि न्यूट्रल इनक हो. So these are different kind of bodies, right? That is created by my potency, the illusory energy. And जबकि तुम और मैं दोनों pure spirit हैं, right? So Krishnera tathastha shakti beda beda prakash. So sometimes people pay attention to only the first line, Jivera Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas. Uski second line है Krishnera tathastha, we are the marginal potency of the Lord. जैसे तट होता है ना, it is sometimes above the waters, जो नदी के तट पे, or sometimes the water rises during the rainy season, then it's under the water. So what has happened is the water has risen, our material desires have risen, so we have come under the influence of material energy. So ये हुआ है हम लोग के साथ. So we are marginal potency of the Lord. So qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. जो भी पौरुषम निशो, I am the ability in man, भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं भगवद गीता में. So all our abilities, qualitatively we are one with the Lord. All our qualities, good qualities of course, they are coming from the Lord, right? But quantitatively we are minuscule, He is magnanimous. We are infinitesimal, He is infinite. So again, and the example Acharyas gave is like a drop from the ocean. In quality, it is also salty water. The ocean is also filled with salty water. But the quantity of a drop is much smaller, insignificant compared to the quantity of water in the ocean. So this is where, Lord is revealing in the form of Brahman to this queen, the widow queen, that now just try to understand this, because ये ब्राह्मण बता रहे हैं कि मैं तुम्हारी एक्चुअल फैक्चुअल पोजीशन बता रहा हूँ, और मेरे प्रिय मित्र, मैं आई एम द परमात्मा एंड यू, तुम आत्मा हो, एंड वी आर नॉट डिफरेंट इन क्वालिटी, क्योंकि हम दोनों स्पिरिचुअल हैं, हम दोनों आध्यात्मिक हैं, जबकि क्वांटिटेटिवली देयर इज डिफरेंस. सो यू आर नॉट डिफरेंट फ्रॉम मी इन योर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजिशन, बिकॉज दिस रिलेशनशिप, हमारा जो संबंध है भगवान के साथ, इट्स अ संबंध ऑफ गिविंग, नॉट अ गिव एंड टेक, इट्स नॉट अ ट्रेड, बट इट्स अ giving relationship. We give ourselves to Lord Shri Krishna, and so by bhakti, but again Madan Mohan Mohani bhakti is Radha Rani को भी रिफर किया जाता है, वो है मदन मोहन मोहिनी, जो कि she can attract Madan Mohan, and Madan means Cupid. So Lord Krishna's name is Madan Mohan because he captivates even Cupid. So, and Pradyumna is, expands as Cupids in different universes. So again, but he even attracts the Cupid, and Radharani is Madan Mohan Mohini, who is the attractor of Cupid. So she attracts Lord Shri Krishna. And that of the 25 qualities, the 25th quality is she can always attract Krishna and keep him under her control. That's the 25th quality of Radharani. So by taking to devotional service, we can attract the Lord, and we can give ourselves fully to the Lord, and Lord gets purchased just by our service. Which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Brahman form में, again, ये देवर्षि नारद बता रहे हैं कि प्राचीन भविष्य को, a person sees the reflection of his body in the mirror, and then he thinks, oh, since this is what I can see, that must be me. So now we are identifying ourselves with the car, right? With the vehicle we are driving in. But we are not the vehicle. We are actually the passenger in the vehicle. But this, because we can only perceive through our senses, what we see in the mirror, we think that that's who I am. So there is a difference between God and living entity. Both are like swans together in the Manas lake of the heart. So when one swan is instructed by other, he is situated in a constitutional position. What is that position? Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas. And so he regains his original Krishna consciousness, which was lost because of his material attraction. The Devashi Nahar bolte, my dear King Prachin Barhi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, is celebrated to be known indirectly. Thus I have described the story of Purañjana to you. Actually, it's an instruction for self-realization. So ये हम लोगों के लिए इंस्ट्रक्शन है. कभी हम लोग जब कथाएं सुनते हैं, कहानियां सुनते हैं, तो हम एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए सुनते हैं, लेकिन ये जो है ये वेरी इंस्ट्रक्टिव है. एंड द पर्पस इज टू सिचुएट आवरसेल्फ इन आवर ओरिजिनल पोजीशन. जैसे नमक नमकीन होता है, शक्कर मीठी होती है, ऐसे ही हम जो जीवास हैं, वी आर इटर्नल सर्वेंट ऑफ Lord Shri Krishna, Krishnera Nityadas. So our very purpose of our existence is to engage in devotional service, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if we don't take to this knowledge, then actually we get attacked by Jara, old age, and then the fear personified. Yavan Raj attacks us with his soldiers, the Yavana king, and then Prajwara, the fever, the elder brother of fear, attacks the body just before the time of death. And Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice story in this reference. Once there was a landlady and her maidservant. Both of them got fever. So they called the physician to please check, and cure this fever that they're having. So the physician checked. He said, well, the landlady, she got just 99 degrees, not much fever, very minor. But I'm worried about the maidservant, that she has 101 degrees. She's got really strong fever. When landlady, she heard this, she's like, what? I should have 110 degrees. I'm more important, right? So now, Srila Prabhupada reveals that if somebody's temperature goes to 110, they die. But this is, the Maya, the material illusion. One thinks themselves to be very important. While the true aspect, how one should live their life, has been revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shiksha Ashtaka prayer, especially the verse 3. Trinadapi sunichena tarurapi sahishnuna manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So one should think oneself to be more humble than the grass on the street. जब आप घास पे चलते हो, आपको घास रिब्यूक करती है, कांटे की तरह चुपके. Was very humble. So we have to be more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree. We have to be more tolerant than the tree. A tree ka vraksh means one is that is meant to be cut down. That's the meaning of vraksh in Sanskrit, the literary meaning. Yet at the same time, tree does not protest, right? It doesn't say don't cut me. It gives. When it's living, through its shade, through its leaves, through its stems, through the उसका outer coverings होते हैं, बहुत से medicines के लिए भी use होते हैं, and gives fruits, flowers that can be used by the other living entities in various bodies. And even after cut, we make furnitures, houses, and so many things. Yet it is very tolerant. Amanina, not expecting respect for oneself. So again, people are trying to get different kind of designations, very kind of upadhis designated with the body. Because why? One should not think that I should get respect, because that causes pride to come in. Various kind of upadhis can cause one to become very proud, and that will make one very envious of others. And things belonging to oneself, that will also make one very lusty. And these are anarthas. We want to avoid all anarthas, rather than engage in devotional service, but ready to give all respect to others. Manadena, right? So we give respect to others based on their positions. And yesterday, Guru Maharaj, he was on Zoom, he was sharing this instruction that a devotee, is serving one who is advanced than they are, is very friendly to the one who is on the same level as they are, and very compassionate to the one who is not as advanced as they are. So this is how a devotee behaves. Now let's contrast this from non-devotee. A non-devotee, a materialistic person who is not a devotee of Lord Krishna, not engaged spiritually, then he becomes envious of people who are above them and wants to take that position. They become envious and discriminates, and blasphemes to people on the same level. I've seen so many times,
People, they meet each other, as if like living in the same community, as if they are very friendly. But then the moment you leave, they leave the company of others, they started criticizing the same people that they call friends. So that's the kind of friendship people have today's times. So we have to be very careful. Take to devotional service, you purify internally and externally, and you become compassionate towards everyone, friendly towards everyone, and serve the higher personalities. And a non-devotee or materialist person wants to exploit the one who is not as advanced. That's the mood. While a devotee wants to be compassionate and help others take to Krishna consciousness. There is a big world of difference between the two kind of personalities. Externally, they appear to be in human form of body. They may be speaking sweet words, but what's internally going on, that counts the most. So here, today we covered this story of Purañjani, and then Purañjana being born as the daughter of Vidarbha, as Vaidarbhi, married to Malladhwaj king, who actually attains the supreme, and she is following, but then she is revealed her true consciousness by the super soul who appears as Brahman. So this is actually an instruction of self-realization. Don't miss the next chapter, because that's where the blessing is shared by Devashi Narad. And so this is where the chapter ends. Hare Krishna. Gantra SRIMADBHAGAVATAM ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Om Tat Sat.